Earnestly podcast coming to you on March 22nd, 2022. Feeling good, feeling refreshed, feeling reloaded, feeling just feeling good about things these days. Mainly because I was on vacation for I've been off of work the last 6 days because I was sick. Actually, I'm still kind of under the weather a little bit, but I'm a little better, coughing a lot. But I was away for the weekend, this past weekend, with family, as I said in the last solo podcast I did. I was when I went to Orlando, took my kids to Legoland, and spent the rest of the weekend with my parents and my siblings, whatnot, and all our kids and stuff. I had a fantastic time. It was something much needed. I haven't had a vacation like this. I don't even count the weeks I took off during COVID because that's COVID, obviously. But it's the first time I had a chance to really get away and really, enjoy something not related to, a pandemic in 2 years and something to get away from. Just getting away from here in South Florida. So it was good. I had a fantastic time. With that, of course, this podcast, subscribe to all podcast catchers, such as Spotify, such as Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, and, of course, Earnestly Media on YouTube as well. Back to the getaway, of course. It was cool. Thursday, we went up last week. We got to Orlando about 5 o'clock. A little bit of traffic on the way up, but once we got there, it was fine. My mother and my stepfather rented an Airbnb for the weekend. We stayed till Sunday night. Got back home about 11 o'clock at night. We stayed up late. I had a fantastic time. I had a little bit of drinking, stuff of that nature, and just having fun with family and staying up late and just sleeping in. And, it's funny because, we did a lot in the sense that we were up late. We went to the, Legoland on Friday. And then we, on the grounds of where we were staying at, because it's a development of vacation homes. There was a resort on there too as well, which had slides, water slides. It had a major big pool, had a lazy river course too, which I spent a lot of time on, especially on lazy river. If you guys could see me on YouTube on the video aspect of this podcast, I look kind of darker. I'm not a very dark. I'm light skinned. I look kind of dark today. I got a little bit of a tan. I didn't need, but I got a little bit of tan. We all did. The kids, my wife, all got a little bit of a tan. Little red face. But it was a fun time. Something I needed. Something I'm definitely looking forward to. Doing again. I know my stepfather mentioned that he wanted to do this every 6 months or a year. We'll be in for those as well. It was just a really good time. So anyway, I don't want to go too long. So I know a couple things I want to touch on here. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't want to go too long because my throat's still kind of hurting. I was supposed to return to work on Monday, and unfortunately, I had to call out because I was coughing. I had a coughing, attack. I guess I got sick over the weekend too as well, and I couldn't, just kept coughing. And the one work I do, you don't be coughing from the customers. So I decided to stay home. So basically because of that, and I already have a Tuesday off, I end up having a 6-day weekend, a longer weekend, and basically a week off from work. So I feel fresh. I'm really looking forward to get back to work now, obviously, But anyway, it was fun. I had a great time. And it got me thinking too about where I'm at in my life now, and how I'm looking forward to the next 30, 40 years. Obviously I'm raising my kids and working and do all the things necessary within the confines of what I do here, in my life. But this weekend to me, it really reaffirmed one thing for me, and my wife even agreed with this too, that moving forward in our lives, man, the things I care about moving forward is experiences and traveling and being with family and bonding. Because I find, obviously, we all have choices to make when we do in our lives, whether or not it's buying this car or buying this house or these things that make you feel happy. And that's according to what everybody has their own things they deem important to them. And I can't tell someone what is important to them. That's your own individual decision to make. That's your own, situation, whatever. I know for me, that what makes me happy is not the nicest car, not the nicest house. What makes me happy, really, honestly, is just being with family, going on vacation, traveling, which I'm going to be doing a lot more as my kids get older and do more of those things, and experiences. I believe, to me, when you look back at your life, and my kids look back at their life, the things they're going to talk about the most is not that kind of car dad had, or this and that, or what what I bought him for this Christmas, whatever. I truly believe the things that they're going to remember, and things I'm going to remember as I get older, is that the experiences I had, the traveling, the bonding with family, those are the things I'm really going to truly remember and prioritize moving forward as I get older. We're not promised. At the end of the day, we're not promised any. No day's promised. We're not promised tomorrow. I'm not promised next week. I'm not promised next year. And to me, it's about prioritizing my health, prioritizing my family, make sure they're good, make sure work on my job, but then beyond that, I just want to focus on being able to experience things, travel, family bonding, things of that nature. And I think this weekend really reaffirmed that for me. That's the place I'm at mentally. That's the vibe I'm on these days, is just creating more experiences. So that's why this weekend was so important to me. Making sure I was able to do that and be with family and bond and all that. So I had a great time doing it. So this weekend, obviously, it being away, not that I forgot, but the college basketball tournament started this past weekend. I did not watch a single minute of the tournament. I was literally, I'll say off the grid, because I was on Twitter and doing things on social media, but I was not. My focus was to be away from the norm, and I hadn't watched a single minute of the college basketball tournament. The only thing I know is that Michigan won. Remember Michigan last week was a controversial team that got into the tourney. They were, what was the record, 16-14. They were like barely over 500, and they were ranked number 11. And people were saying, "No, this should be in the tournament." And now they're in the Sweet 16. I know Miami. The Canes are in the Sweet 16 as well too. They beat Auburn, but beyond that, I don't know what's going on. I know Kentucky lost, and a couple of high seeds lost, and a couple lower seeds that got cracked, 16. But beyond that, I don't know what's going on. And it goes back to what I've been saying for the last couple of years about college basketball, and this, how for me personally, it's in terms of priority, is this declined. Like, I love basketball. I love the NBA especially. College basketball for me, when I was a teenager, I was obsessed. I loved it. I used to watch almost every game that's on ESPN or whatever stations were on. And today, a lot of me also too is two things. Number one, I'll say it again, it's the rules and the one and dones that doesn't help. Number one for me, because you don't gain familiarity to players. But for me also too, number two is the fact that I just don't have any time. It runs perpendicular with the NBA. I'm going to choose the NBA every time, and twice on Sunday. And I got other things around me outside to keep me occupied. So college basketball is not a priority as it used to be. And obviously, I every year I discuss this. Every year I talk about it. And it's on rotation. But there are ways to make it great again. There are ways to make it great. I mean, maybe if players stay longer than 2 years or 1 year, maybe I'll get back to it. Who knows? But it's hard to watch. Not aesthetically necessarily, but it's more so just time. So, but it is what it is on that one. So, anyway, LeBron James this weekend became the was it Saturday? It may have been Saturday. It happened. LeBron James now is number 2 in all-time NBA scoring, surpassing Karl Malone. He's on track to surpass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar next year or two, and I think he's going to pass it, and he's going to pass it pretty easily. LeBron, look, the Lakers had a bad year. We know that they're terrible, but LeBron's been fantastic. Look, he gets blamed for how bad the Lakers are playing, but individually speaking, he is on fire. He is playing out of his mind. Like, this guy is 37 years old. He's not slowing down. Like, he always has a bad knee right now. You just see wrapped up in whatever, but he's having a fantastic year. I mean, it's like I said, we when this happens, of course, any milestone he passes at this point now, we bring up the whole, okay, well, is he better than Jordan? And look, no, we're not going to do the whole Jordan LeBron thing again. I see it on First Take now. I'm seeing it on all the other major sports media platforms and stuff. It's a tired thing now. We're going to pick, and that's it. I'm personally have Jordan ahead of LeBron. I think LeBron's number 2. Not a big deal. But I just think people need to I'll keep saying it to the cows come home. You may not like LeBron's politics and how passive aggressive he can be and some of the things that annoys you, but as a basketball player, continue appreciating him. It's not forever. I mean, the fact that he's playing at this level at year 19 of his career, and he's still playing at this level. I mean, you have to appreciate that. So, I don't know. He's going to pass Kareem, but I think, honestly, by next year. I think he's like 2,000 plus behind, and the way he's playing now, he's gonna cross 40,000 points when it's all said and done. He's just too good. He's just too good, and it's amazing too because he's not really what you consider a scorer. At least that's not the way he was. Came to the league as he's an all around player. He was this guy who was a great passer. He's a great rebounder. Obviously, he could score when necessary, but I mean, LeBron he's just fantastic. I mean, I wish people appreciate what he does. Yeah. Staying in basketball here, the Miami Heat. That's the number one in the AFC. I'm talking about a lot of football today, actually. Number one in the Eastern Conference now with about 12 games to go in the year. They probably should hold on to it, but tough loss last night to Philadelphia. And a lot of Heat fans I talk to, they hate some of my commentary on the Heat because I've been very critical about, despite the fact that they are number one in the conference, despite the fact that I still have questions. I still think, when the rubber meets the road, you need stars like Giannis. You need stars like Kevin Durant, to close games out, because the playoffs becomes a battle of, okay, who has the best player? Who's the best player on the court when the games are on the line? Miami has a very good team. I'm not down on Miami's team. They're very deep. I like Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo's made a jump this year. Obviously, Tyler Herro's had a fantastic, third year, after having a major sophomore slump. But there are moments, like last night, for example, that it brings cause to pause. Like, okay, well, you guys are a really good team, but you're losing to Philadelphia, and Joel Embiid's not playing the game. Neither is James Harden. What's going on here? They have the moments where they play down the competition. I can't stand it. And they've done it quite a few times this year. And it makes you feel like, okay, well, if this happens, you can't do this in the playoffs. You can't just give games away in the playoffs. So I have my my personal, I don't want to say doubts, but I do have questions, about this Heat team. Are they going to be, when rubber meets the road, are they going to buck up? Because a lot of Heat fans keep saying, on Twitter, like, oh, we don't get any respect and we should be talked about more on these major shows and stuff. I'm like, why would you want attention like that? First off. And then when you get a national stage, for example, like 2 weeks ago against Phoenix, and they get blown out by the Suns at home, a national televised game, you really want that kind of attention? And the same thing here with, this game against the Sixers last night. You're playing against the Sixers without Joel Embiid and James Harden, and they are in the race to catch number one. They're like 3 games back with 13 games to go. And you should win that game going away, and you don't. And by the way, Miami's team is healthy. Everybody played. Butler played, Bam played, Harrell played, Kyle Lowry was on fire. He played. I have questions, as I'll say. I'm not going to say I doubt them, but I have questions. Like, are they in my finals bubble? Like, teams that believe they'll play the finals? Yeah. But if you ask me now, who you taking in the playoffs between them and Milwaukee, I'm taking Milwaukee. It has nothing to do with me being a fan. It has to do with just being more transparent and honest about how I feel about these teams. So, I'd like to see Miami close out the year on a high note and not blow any games they shouldn't be losing, So, I've been doing a lot of podcasts on football today, especially. We just dropped the Football's Awesome podcast today. I also prepared on a podcast on Huddle Up. I literally just did that podcast like 20 minutes ago before I jumped on here and do this little episode. Lots of stuff in the NFL offseason. We talk about it on the podcast. I'll touch on it real quick here. Obviously, you have since this the last week since I last did the solo podcast, you had Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, and I think that makes the Raiders very dangerous going forward. I think, in fact, I already said that even for betting odds for MVP for the odds alone, that Derek Carr should be an early favorite. I think the Raiders are going to be really good in a very tough division in AFC West. But you have Devontae Adams, you had them to a Renfro and and Waller, the tight end Waller. That's going to be a problem in Vegas. Obviously, the same division as the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Broncos and Russell Wilson going there, of course. But I do think the Raiders are a team to look out for. Matt Ryan gets traded to the Colts. I think that's a good move. I think the Colts are a slight favorite to win the AFC South. What else happened in the last couple weeks? Last week since I've been gone. The Deshaun Watson situation. Obviously, we'll see what happens with him. With the situation, he will not be criminally charged for the 22 accusations. 22 accusations, should I say? But there are still civil suits pending. We'll see how that goes. And the NFL will come out hard on Watson. I think they will. I think he's going to get at least 4 to 6 games at a minimum, if not more. Make an example for Deshaun Watson. A lot of people have opinions too about that, about Watson and whether or not he should be playing. And the Browns, a lot of Browns fans, are now get up the fanship because of the fact that Watson is on the Browns. And my thing is this though. My thing is, I will not judge you for that. If you're a Browns fan and you feel uncomfortable with Watson being your team, you have every right to leave the team. I mean, honestly, you should, it's your right. You feel like the team shouldn't have gone after a guy that has 22 accusations. I totally get it. I guess where I stand on this more than anything else is that he has been charged, so he should be able to make a living still. And if a team's willing to sign him, what can you do? Obviously you make your choices, and people are making choices to support the team. So I'm not. And again, I don't think anyone's wrong with how they handle that. I think everybody handles these situations differently. God knows I don't know how I would feel about that, honestly. My only thing is that he hasn't been charged for anything, so I only have but so much, to judge him on here. But again, 22 accusations is a lot of accusations also too. So like I said, I won't judge anybody that feels that they have to step away and drop their fanhood for the Cleveland Browns. But I will say it's a lot of money, though, they paid him for that, though. They paid him a lot of money for that. A lot of money. 5 years, $230. And I don't understand why there's so much money, number one, for starters. I don't know if it was a market that high for him in that aspect. I mean, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, in my opinion, but I don't think there was a market that was willing to pay him that kind of money given the stuff around him. The Browns just went all in, I guess. Especially then we had Baker Mayfield Western trade, which to me, honestly, the way he's been playing, the way he's acted, most of this tenure in Cleveland, hey, good riddance. What team's going to go to? Who knows? But beyond that, that's a situation that's going to be really, really, obviously with the AFC being this crazy good. I was saying on social media that you have an upwards of 11, maybe 12 teams that you consider good to great. Like, to me, it's the Bills, the Patriots. You have, I would say, most of that, the entire AFC North. In the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Browns. You get at the very least good teams there. That's 6 teams right there. You got 2 in the South, Titans and Colts now with Matt Ryan. That's 8. Then the 4 in the AFC West, all 4 teams: Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers. 12 teams in there that I would consider good to great. Obviously, only 7 get in the playoffs in the conference, so obviously we'll see how it shakes out. But I can see any of those 12 teams really in the playoffs next year, and it wouldn't sound shocking to me. And the NFC is a little bit different. The NFC is really a 3-team race, maybe 2, Rams and Bucks, and maybe the Packers if Aaron Rodgers can get weapons to replace Devontae Adams. The Cowboys always in the mix, obviously. It's gonna be a crazy situation. Like Carson Wentz goes to Washington. I think the Washington Commanders are gonna have a bounce back this year. It's my opinion. By the way, if I sound a little scratchy, I apologize. Like I said, I've been on the weather the last couple of days, but I wanted to get a podcast in. So, but yeah, it's been a crazy NFL offseason. Crazy offseason. And I don't know if there's any more moves coming up. I mean, you still got Jimmy G, Jimmy Garoppolo, whether or not he's gonna be leaving San Francisco. What does Baker Mayfield move to? It's a lot of things that we'll see how that plays out in the coming days, because obviously there's a lot of things that are still pending. But anyway, Next thing here, let's go a little wrestling talk real quick. The Undertaker, he'll be inducted to Hall of Fame in a couple weeks when WrestleMania happens. He has doubled down on some comments that he made actually a couple years ago on Joe Rogan. Basically, been very critical of pro wrestlers today, saying they don't have any grit in comparison to the time that, the heyday or his heyday. Here's heyday. Let me see the quote here he put out here. Basically saying that I feel like there's a level of grit that's missing from today's product, and I don't know that is anybody's fault. We all aged out, so the new group has come up. When you watch Brock Lesnar wrestle, you were interested because he's got a background not only as an amateur wrestler but professional wrestler. Roman Reigns has a little grit on him. Randy Orton has a little bit on him, but I don't want to come down hard on Taker here either, because I think what he's saying, there is definitely a different environment. But the thing is, the reason why I've been critical of Taker for his comments in the past, and I'll say it again now, is because the reason why there's less grit now is because wrestlers today are healthier. The guys in his day took a lot in the sword, took a lot in the chin to get where we're at today. Drug usage has gone way down in wrestling in comparison to the 80s and 90s and 70s and all that. Players today, wrestlers today, instead of, doing drugs and this and that, are doing, projects like, Twitch and gaming and all that, which I think is healthy. It's different. I get it. The grit thing, I don't know, man. I see what he's saying, but it feels like a backhanded comment, or maybe even a backhanded insult in a sense too, because I don't know. I like the fact that these guys are healthy, taking care of themselves, in shape. WWE's drug policies, and one of those policies are not the greatest, but it's also, when you compare it to 1987, for example, these guys compared to now, it's a big difference. So I get what he's saying, but I think that comment was a bit too heavy-handed in a sense too. I don't know. I respect Taker. Obviously, he's one of the all-time greats. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame in a couple weeks. But, sometimes, I get the whole, my day is better. You hear that in sports all the time too. Well, back in my day, we were doing this, and I get all that. But I think the positives in today are, especially what they're doing now, wrestlers are able to invest more into, their own brand, all that, much better, much cleaner, much healthier than 1992. So while Taker's point is valid in some degree, I think overall he's wrong on that one. So anyway, before I go, my throat's really killing me. So let me just end with this on this point here. I've been going to a little bit of a Red Hot Chili Peppers phase lately, and I think I started again on my road trip up to Orlando a couple days ago. My wife and my son, while we were working last week, they decided to put together a playlist for our trip, and they put a couple of songs in there, and I think the one song that stood out to me, was I haven't heard in a long time, was the Zephyr song, and it got me thinking, this is the band that, I've always loved rock music growing up, and the Peppers are always on radio. But one of those bands that, even though on radio, it was like okay, to me anyway, it's like, I like you guys, but you guys are so overplayed that I can't really appreciate you guys. It wasn't until the last maybe a couple months, listening to them again recently, this trip here recently just went on, and playing them with my wife, and then they're coming in concert in August too, which we're planning on going. I really sort of appreciate the Peppers. They're different. They're heavy on radio, obviously, but I come around with a new sense of appreciation. I mean, maybe because I'm also getting older. Things are slowing down, and I can actually, kind of take bands that I may not like before. There's a lot of bands that I'm into now that 10 years ago, if I would have been into, Coheed and Cambria, for example, bands like that. And, there's bands that I thought were I hate to say it, lame in comparison, are bands I can appreciate. So, Chili Peppers now on that, appreciation, list. So that's it. All right, let me get out of here. My throat's killing me. Rested. I gotta work tomorrow and stuff. So again, on Twitter at EJChristian7, Earnest Weekend Podcast, of course, on all podcast catchers. Don't forget to, I announced on Twitter today, on Twitter today as well. Next week we're launching my newest podcast concept called the Wrestling Retrospective, which is going to be a throwback to retro pro wrestling talk, watch-alongs, roundtables, you name it. And that's going to be, we'll be launching our first episode of that on this feed next week. Not sure the exact day, but next week we're going to be doing a watch-along on WrestleMania 18, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, 20 years later. 20 years already. I can't believe it's been 20 years. So that's what's going on here. Me and I think Big Jim are going to be doing that. So Big Jim niece. So anyway, let me get out of here, man. I'm talked out right now. My throat's gone. I've done 3 podcasts today. I am done. Talk to you guys later. God bless y'all. And until next one. See ya.